Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Late for the Party on YouTube. I am your host, Harry LeBrand, aka Cover Boy, the Modern Marvel. That's right, we are going to get into another In My Mind segment. We're going to talk about, I'm just basically going to talk about my personal thoughts about the MCU and how worried I am about it so far. And just how the lead up to everything, and is there going to be a definitive outcome, and could they come back from the multi stuff of crap that they had for the last couple of years now? So before we get into all that, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the podcast. You can check me out on all forms of social media. You can hit the notification bell up on the top once everything gets uploaded, and let's get those likes and follows and everything so we can finally get a plaque for this podcast and whatnot. So before that, also check out spring.com, where you can get all the cool Late for the Party merch, and there will be some upcoming merch pretty soon. So stay tuned, and we will let you know when those shirts and everything come up. So tell a friend, tell a foe, let everybody know that this is Late for the Party, and this is how we go. So let's get right to it. Okay, now being an enthusiast like myself, Harry Labrea, always been a comic book enthusiast, a pugilist enthusiast, everything that is late for the party that I try to talk about on a regular basis. I've been an enthusiast from the time it was introduced to me by my father. So comic books, everything has always played an important factor, even in my life growing up. So keeping that in mind, like everything from comic book movies and every from how it all got started, you know, I'm literally rocking car like t-shirts and everything back in the day where the early 90s and 80s and 90s, especially going to like junior high or high school, wearing Superman shirts and whatnot wasn't very fashionable. Maybe Batman, maybe Superman, maybe Spider Man, but anybody who was like very off the leash, like, rocking an Iron Man shirt back in the 90s or whatnot, nobody was really doing that back then. So coming from a person who doesn't want any comic book movie to fail, like I don't want nothing to fail. Like I, I mean, if you can make a good story and good content and like good stories about it, it doesn't have to be word for word, bar for bar, as long as you're keeping the origin intact and you're just focusing around what the story would be for that set character. You know, I'm not expecting like I'm not expecting like Superman's family not getting blown up on Krypton, but they all crash land on Earth and they get hit by a car. You know what I'm saying? Like just stuff like that. No, I don't understand that. But I think it's just because like when you're trying to send more messages than actual storytelling, it kind of just gets in the way of how that how it could actually be. Like honestly, like it would be a lot better if they would focus more where the story already comes from. For instance, normally what from what I understand, there was a lot of people who were producing and or like writing the movies or writing for the shows, they weren't really following the content that were coming from. They were employed. They were sorry. They were they were told not to read the source material, and it's like, how can you not read the source material for where the source material comes from? Help me make it make sense. If you're going to create or do other stories about other character about that character, then if you're not going to follow what the character's representing in the source material, then why even do a story to begin with? Help me make it make sense. At that point, wouldn't it make it more plausible to just be like, okay, well, we'll just throw that to the wayside and just like make your own characters. At that point, to me, that would make way more sense. Make your own unique character. Let them go through the trials and tribulations just like all these other characters have for the last 30 to 40 years that these characters, probably longer than that, 50 to 60 years as long as these characters existed, you know? So, my whole thing is, but when it comes down to the MCU, oh, it's a different universe. It's not the same thing and whatnot. And like, look, like you can make it, oh, it's not the same universe. Matter of fact, it's the multiverse. And look, here's probably one of the things that gets on my nerves, especially with this whole multiverse theory. It's just because now you're making it more the excuse to utilize the fact that, oh, it's a multiverse theory, to where it doesn't, like, the person that's the character that is not the same character from the source material. Okay, confuse it however you want. It just doesn't make any sense. So, like, the math ain't math at this point. And it's worse because you're making it more an excuse and a scapegoat to get through. You're making it more of the fact that, like, oh, I could just do this without having any rhyme or reason for, like, this character exists because of just happenstance. Because, oh, it's multiverse theory. Like, for instance, we're going to talk about some of the movies that's come out, like Captain America: Brave New World. Now, I have not seen it yet. I'm going to go see it tomorrow. Uh, from today, when I upload it, probably be Saturday, but I'll go see it. But I am worried because it's like the whole thing behind that is you already have a character. You have a character, Sam Wilson, who is playing the role of Captain America. Now, to be 100% honest, it's like, why? Why did Falcon have to be Captain America? And I'm going to explain this down to the letter because there is a thing that I always look at as a reference to Spider-Man Miles Morales, his character. And what I'm about to say, it will probably make sense to you, to where it's like, all right, for instance, with Sam Wilson, he already has a character. He's Falcon. So why is he playing Captain America? Now you have him wearing Captain America's hand-me-downs, and you have him rocking the Captain America shield. So if he's not using the super soldier serum, he's obviously gonna wear some kind of technological suit, probably Wakandan or something like that. And it's like he already has an identity. Why do you need him to be somebody else's identity when he already has his identity? Like polar opposite to Miles Morales. Like, okay, Miles Morales honestly doesn't have his own identity. He's Spider Man. He's using the moniker of Spider Man. Considering the fact that Spider Man, like his different move sets and everything else, he's not necessarily Spider Man. To me, now I'm saying that all Spider-Mans have to be Peter Parker? No, of course not. But how it all began, and how it all started, I mean, you got to think about it like this. Even in the comic books now, like Miles Morales is wearing a Wakandan suit. He got bit by Blade. And he's a vampire now. He got bit by Blade. Now he's an avatar for Nazi the Spider, Mister Nazi the Spider, and whatnot. And I mean, there's a lot where he doesn't have his own identity. So at least with Falcon, he has his own identity. I don't know why they just couldn't make Falcon and Winter Soldier the movie. It would have made better sense to do it that way. With all the extra stuff that they're doing. I mean, I believe more Bucky being more Captain America, or they could have bounced them both off and then went into. I mean, they both played the role of being the role of Captain America in the comic books. But I mean, let's be real. Captain America has always been Steve Rogers. but and in lies a problem. Because it's like you can say the exact same thing for Iron Man. Okay, well, Iron Man died, so what's next for Iron Man? So why don't we just put Rhodey in the Iron Man suit? But why would you do that? He's already War Machine. Exactly. So why? Sorry about that. So why would you make Falcon Captain America when he's already where he's already a self already a character? Doesn't make any sense. I might not upload this picture, this one. I might. Who knows? But give me a second. The show must go on. Sorry, you guys, for the delay. I had to pause real quick because I had a dry spell of a cough that just would not end. So, but back on topic, I was talking about how the MCU is. I'm a little worried just because they kind of dug themselves into kind of dug themselves into a corner to where they're decided to dial back on the content that they were all pushing out now to walk into 2025. I don't believe that Brave New World will have the legs to stand on. So my whole thing is that for it's not even that I believe that Brave New World will be bad. I just don't think it will be. I don't know. I just think that for for me to be like for me to focus, like I would have preferred it to be Falcon and Winter Soldier. From what I understand, that the writers from Falcon and the Winter Soldier was did write the story, write out the story for the movie. But my whole thing is, if that's the case, then wouldn't it have been better just to put it on Disney Plus, or to up the ante a little bit, or maybe even have Winter Soldier in the film, or maybe it'd be the Falcon and Winter Soldier movie, Brave New World, or something. But I don't know. I just feel that Anthony Mackie playing the role of Captain America. I don't think he has the chops for it. I'm not saying that he's a bad actor. I just don't think that he's like someone even said. Like, I don't think he's the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's on that equivalent to like Hawkeye, and nothing's wrong with being the guy next to the top three. You know what I'm saying? But, like, for him to, like, I put him in that category of Hawkeye or even Ant-Man, but for them to really, like, run rampant on, like, just being a part of the big cheese, the big guy, I don't see it. And then we're talking about, like, Fantastic Four. Like, um, I'm gonna give it a shot. The trailers looks pretty interesting. Um, Interesting to see how this whole it's giving me like Jetson vibes to some degree, like just how like this is how it looks in the '60s. Like it's giving me those '60 George Jetson future vibes of like how these characters look and how like the Fantastic Car and whatnot, and even Herbie the robot, and like with Ben Grimm, I kind of missing that groggy stretcho, that deep, groggy, rocky voice. You know, everybody says that. Like, I actually low key like Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. I actually like that one. I wasn't even really mad at. I wasn't even really mad at the the first Silver. Well, the only thing I kind of got annoyed with was that Doctor Doom's abilities and whatnot, and how Doctor Doom just so happens to be added into how he lost, how he got injured and became Doctor Doom. Of course, how do you mess up a man in a suit? But when Rise of the Silver Surfer happened, they kind of retconned most of that stuff that happened and whatnot. And they actually gave him an actual suit. But of course, say how they messed up with Galactus and whatnot. But I mean, deep down, it should still be I mean, it shouldn't be bad. I'm hoping. Like, there's some turnoffs with Fantastic Four that I'm kind of worried about. Is that Silver Surfer being a girl? It's like, come on, guys. It's like nothing is wrong with just having the character being who they are. Stick to the source material. But then this is what I was saying earlier about, oh well, they could use that whole idea of it's multiverse. So once everything happens in the last Avengers movie, it's all gonna be like everybody's pulling a Crisis on Infinite Earths, or like DC's Crisis. This is Marvel's version of DC's Crisis, to where you have these multiple characters, and then obviously something big happens where the universes fused together, and this is what you're gonna get from this point forward. That that is okay to some degree, but when you got so many people putting their finger in the punch bowl, and not everybody's gonna taste the same flavor. You know what I'm saying? Like that could be the problem within itself right there. So I don't know. Like I'm just worried that so far we got Brave New World, which is already out. We got Fantastic Four. Like I'm looking forward to Daredevil. That's probably the only thing, and I think there's a Spider-Man coming out before Doomsday, before Avengers Doomsday. So just to see how all this is gonna line up, I'm a little worried. Like I'm a little worried. Hell, I'm a little worried for Daredevil right now. You know, sometimes I just feel like if it was if things were a little different, like if they could have just cut some of the fat of the what they were already messing up on already, to where they could have prevented a lot of stuff from happening. Like I think they could have, like even Endgame had its flaws, but of course when you're dealing with fan service and whatnot, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I just don't agree with. And then like I said before, it's just with the whole representation of, oh, we need more characters, we need more minority characters, so you're changing certain characters and you're putting them as this. Well, Wonder Man, okay, Simon Wilson, okay, or yeah, Simon Wilson, right? So in the comic book, he's white, but now he's Yahya Abdul-Mateen. Like, okay, Yahya Abdul-Mateen could have been anybody, black character, but you decide to put him in. Like he could have been Brother Voodoo. He could have been a variant of T'Challa. He could have been anything. But y'all decide for him to be Wonder Man. Just why? It's just like, what are you gonna make Luke Cage white? I mean, come on now. It's the same issue I had with my friend neighborhood Spider-Man, where you have Harry Osborn and Norman Osborn black characters when they never were. And it's just like, why even do that? Why can't you just stick to the landing? If you want characters to represent them, why don't you go through the mythos of just using the characters that are already there? Robbie Robbie Robinson. You could have used anybody. You didn't have to just specifically, okay, we need Harry Osborn. Oh, there's not enough color. Let's make Harry Osborn black. You know, it's it's kind of it's downplaying it, and it feels like a slap in the face to me. And I'll die on a hill of how I feel when it comes down to that in general. But I mean, be that as it may, the mugs always like saying, like, some motherfuckers always want to ice skate uphill, and when you're dealing with characters and stories, just stick to the source material. I mean, it does, like I said, it doesn't have to be word for word, bar for bar, but if as long as you got a baseline to where you can stick to the program, then you don't have to worry about not like making it suck. And like in the last few movies, Marvel's freaking uh, Echo, freaking Eternals. I mean, all of that stuff. I mean, it was all horrible. Uh, shoot, Ant Man and Wasp. Uh, the last, the last one. I mean, oh my god, they were all bad. It could have been way better if they were just written better. And if you're not going to focus from where the stories or anything to that nature, then you're just failing the whole process. But I just digress from my point, so I'm going to get off and get to the next segment. So, like always, you guys, please, this is late for the party in my mind segment. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to the podcast. Check me out on all forms of social media. The link will be in the description once I upload everything. And as always, you're always on time when you're late for the party.